Motion to open the meeting.
I'll second.
John, in favor? First item, we have the minutes from February 25th, 2021. Take a minute to look at them.
I wrote a motion to approve. I'll second.
Question? All in favor? No mail, no appointments. All right, Dana, opening update on COVID-19 precautions.
Yes, you see as attachment, I have the AMGO, Alliance of Massachusetts Golf Organizations. This is an update, last updated March 1st, 2021. And if you look at your first two paragraphs, basically I just pulled that off the website, off the governor's website for events, regarding outdoor events. And in speaking with the Board of Health, generally, we're in a very similar spot as to where we were when we closed, regarding face masking and social distancing and the likes. He did state we did a phenomenal job last season, and to continue the same efforts that we did last season and move forward into this season, and we will modify the program however the state decides and updates us. So, I mean, if things are in the clear, we'll move forward as these guidelines state, and if there's another surge, we have to pull back. I've stated to several of the events and the leagues, everybody that's interested in playing this season, that, you know, I'm not committing to stake dinners or group numbers that would be anything more than what the governor states that we're allowed to do. So tentatively right now, the guidelines say outdoor events with the AMGO as well as the governor, we can do 150 people for outdoor events. And so I did a rough walkthrough of the tent, measuring size of the tables, 6-foot distances, and I've got it somewhere we could fit 120 people underneath that tent. And then with if you had a full shotgun of 144, the overflow would have to go where our cafe, the bistro tables are with the umbrellas, and we'd have to situate them. Obviously it would have to be a sunny day or at least a non-raining day to accommodate that. And then measuring the deck space, size of tables, you could probably fit 12 people up there. So we can probably host a full shotgun event if need be, and that would be, we would have to decide what we want to do. Now, we did do a small event at the end of last year where I ordered, as you go to restaurants, you get a takeout clamshell container with compartments, and rather than, we usually did a buffet style walking line up, everybody stands in line. We didn't do that, obviously, for that event. We bought these containers and we made the meals, gloved, masked, filled the compartments of the containers, closed them up, and then we went to the tables and handed out the meals, 6 per table. And it went quite successfully. And then, if anybody had leftovers, it was already packaged up, you just took it and left. And then if you have a group where somebody did order a meal and they didn't want to sit under the tent and have a meal with everybody, they then have a pre-packaged takeout meal where they can take it with them. So these are, I'm not saying that this is, what we're doing. If we want to do that, if we decide to do that, that's where I'm leaning towards. I'm kind of assessing what our options are. So, with that being said, with food, we also did meal tickets for any event that wanted to participate last year. So if you didn't, we weren't going to collectively gather under the tent and do dinners. What we did was you bought whatever price point your meal package you were interested in, 6, 8, 20. We gave you X amount of pieces of food, hamburger, sausage, hot dog, linguiça, chips, soda, soft drink, beer, whatever they want to purchase and buy. We gave out meal tickets, and guys would pick that up as they were playing, so that, again, we limited the amount of people that would sit or gather in any one area, as well as registrations. Every event has to be pre-registered. All their teams have to be prepaid to their commissioner of that event, so that, again, we don't have a long succession of lines gathering and waiting. We didn't do raffle tickets, lines, mulligan lines. Those contests were held on the short holes, the par 3s, and conducted on the course on an outdoor 6-foot spacing. So you had minimal amount of gathering as possible. Now, were there people with COVID that played golf last year with the amount of rounds? Probably somebody who had COVID and played golf last year. But we never became a hot spot. We sprayed the cots. All employees wore masks, sprayed the bathrooms every hour on the hour. Tables and chairs, if you sat down and had a hamburger, didn't force them, finished and left. Grill guy's responsibility, grab the sanitizer thing, spray down, dispense the chairs, table, and reset for the next group. So I think by taking those precautions, that is what allowed us to process the amount of rounds successfully as we did last season. And being proactive and staying on top of it, it's a chore, but it needed to be done, and everybody accepted their role. I mean, whether we were spraying cots with the starters, or if those guys were busy and we had to pop out of the shop and grab the sprayer, and we sprayed the next line, everybody filled in the gaps, and everything got accomplished that should be accomplished.
And so we'll still keep people out of the clubhouse.
Yes.
Through the window.
So it does. Some of the stipulations with regards to bars and seating and whatnot. They said you can't have a standing. You can't walk up to a bar and stand and get served. That's the only bar we have. So this allows us. Then you also have to have plexiglass that hangs down and gives you no distance greater than 8 inches at the bottom to serve products underneath that plexiglass window. Same thing if we were to be in the pro shop. So with that being said, the window system takeout area that we set up last year worked phenomenal. And I think as far as the customer's perspective, it was easier for them. So they would, pick a cot, put their stuff on the cot, walk to the window, pay right there, turn around 6 steps, and bang, they were in their cot going. Rather than walk in the building, come in this way, or come in for a beverage. And so I think our to-go system, takeout system, was a huge part of our success. And I am trying to incorporate the beverage center cafe outside as we did last season, and continue that through this season. So typically, previous years, we would have someone at the snack bar, someone in the pro shop, and the grill would only go on weekends. Last year, we ran the grill every day. So what I would have used for those bar shifts and beverage cot shifts were all utilized by keeping that grill open. And we used the grill as volume determined. So I'm not opening the grill at 6 in the morning cooking burgers. We waited till we had probably 2.5, 3 hours of the first hour of rounds coming through, you know what I mean? So that they were almost completed, and then we would have the guys come in and start the grill. And then we would run it up to the twilight hour, on weekends is 2 o'clock. We would run it for about roughly 2 hours after twilight. So that allowed anybody that teed off until 4 o'clock, you could pick up something to eat 1 through 9 if you were on the course. After that, you were on your own. We were still there as far as anything they made extra. We had wrapped in foil and set aside. We brought in the shop where I could sell it out the window still. And we still had, I established a refrigerator in the pro shop last year with a full stocking of beer and soft drinks. So we still offered those services and supplies to customers that wanted them. We just didn't have the outdoor service anymore. And again, that allowed us to maintain our labor budget as well as satisfy customers with the services that they were expecting. And again, that we seemed to work out really well. This obviously was not pre-planned. This was all done, thrown into it in the heat of battle. You're not open until May, and then all of a sudden, it's go time. What are we going to be looking at? Who's getting fired first because we're not going to do any business? So, wow. You know, how are we going to satisfy all these people with minimal staff? So it was a grind, and we achieved it. So I'm proud of the guys, proud of the team. They did well. So if you look at all the specs on AMGO with regards to face coverings and golf carts, it gives you all the rules and regs that we'll be following with regards to the operation. I think some of them, they're at our discretion. If we want to put out flag sticks, if we want to do bunker rakes, if we want to do water stations, these are things that we must determine if we want to do, and then we can implement them if we see fit. It does require, though, high-frequency touched items need to be sanitized. So if Steve puts out the water stations, he's going to have somebody go through and sanitize them on a regular basis. So I mean, that's something we need to review. Let's see.
So right now, the water station won't be on.
We will probably not. We didn't have them last year. We didn't do rakes last year. We left the flag sticks in, and then we had the cups in the trays in the cups so that the ball would roll in and you could just pick the ball out without touching the flag stick to putt. And we can continue that if we want to, or we can go back to the old way where you pull the flag stick. But again, if you're touching the flag stick, you got to spray and clean it. So I would advise going with last year's program until we're kind of through this, for real, to be honest with you. We want to try and do our part to minimize exposure as much as possible.
So we recommend keeping the sticks in, using.
I would, yes. And these guidelines are already posted at the window, in the restrooms, down at the tee box, on the corkboard with the protector, and then we'll put up larger signs with our expectations, mandatory masks, and certain things that'll be required by our customers.
At the end of last year, we did start to pull this.
They were allowed to.
Right. So we need to decide whether we want to.
Which way we want to go with that.
I think that system that Steve came up with finally works very well.
With the trays? Yeah. That I think with the adjustments, modifications we made to it, it didn't interrupt the game at all. As long as the cups are cut low enough and that ball can roll into the tray, we're fine. And once we got that fixed, it was awesome.
So how deep did you go down? 2 inches?
It basically, I think the top of the ball, you could barely see it at the as it sat in the tray. So it would, 3/4 of the ball would go into the hole, and then
The diameter of a ball?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the diameter of a ball, 1 1/4?
Yeah, 1.864.
Almost
Almost 2 inches.
Right. So we were probably about 1.5 inches on the dip.
See, there is no chance for the ball to jump.
So we keep the flag stick in, or?
What did we do at the end of the year last year? Let them take it out?
It's,
Yeah,
well,
you remove the little inserts.
on AMGO, it says, flag sticks may be removed. It is at the discretion of the facility whether or not we will allow flag sticks to be removed. And again, like I said, the frequently touched areas, there has to be a procedure put in place that they should be sprayed. So I would say with our budget and staff, that just leave the flag sticks in, that system seems to work. And go from there.
Problem
I mean, you gotta get the turn, that's my recommendation. We can do whatever you want.
Problem is with spraying those things is that they kill the grass.
We do have the spray that Steve purchased that's,
Does it?
it doesn't, it's organic based, I forget what it's made
The
of.
bottle's one left, they'll take it.
It stinks like vinegar,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I think the water stations, they go through enough, through the clubhouse that they can get this supply of water.
The water station, I think we don't do because it is a problem.
Yeah, but they come 3 times through that,
What else?
through the clubhouse.
They know before they go out, there's no water station, so
Right.
buy water.
And on our bullet point sign, we can state that mandatory masks, do this, do that, there are no water stations, you know,
Until further notice.
until further notice. So, I mean,
Big bull letters.
big bold letters.
What's the story with bunker rates? What are we doing?
We didn't use them all.
And again,
We didn't use them at all last year.
that states here, permitted if frequently disinfected. Frequently
But
disinfected.
a lot of places, they put 1 rake in each car. And then the 2 people would use that rake, or 1 person be assigned to the rake. And then the other one to the ball cup. And they had a kind of, some kind
I
of
think
a
we have that many.
thing that stick up, and then you can take your ball out. Usually you have a glove in your left hand, so you didn't need to spray it.
So,
I think it's foolish, actually. More and more people are getting vaccinated, and all this scantastics of pulling a rake, pulling a pole is absolutely ridiculous. This is just crowd control, in my opinion.
Yeah, everybody has
It's
an opinion.
actually foolish. You know, it's,
They do say that catching it through touching is.
they say that after it's been there for an hour or so, not even that, the germs are gone.
Yeah, but you touch that pole every 9 minutes.
You hope.
Or thereabouts, right?
Yeah. Snowman, I don't know.
to get back to bunker rates, are we gonna allow the play out of the bunkers or not?
We played out of the bunkers.
Steve
Just
would,
nowhere.
yeah, Steve would drive around them in the morning,
Oh, okay, all right.
and then
I know.
we play all day, and the next day we run them again.
I know, because most of the leagues didn't play out of them.
Oh, wow.
They said no,
If there's not rates, don't play on them, yeah. I
Right.
guess if you're a league, yeah, and you're trying to get you around it before sunset, you might want to,
League rules, or,
I know customers were playing out of them all season.
well, I think it was left up to, like, the league, it was left up to our discretion whether we wanted to play out of it or not.
Mhm.
I mean, you could find yourself a decent line and I'll play out of it.
Right, but if you end up someone shoot right, that's,
Yeah, but towards the end of the day,
yeah, it's ugly in there.
all right.
so do we keep the plastic in or out?
What was that?
I said, do we keep the flag stick in or
Flag
out?
sticks?
I think we should keep them in and not avoid
Mr.
anybody.
Tipples would like to know.
I think we should keep them in the house, and that way it would be equal for everybody.
Leave them in, but you don't have to remove them to pop. correct?
Yeah, well, you don't have to do that now anyways. You can leave.
Well,
it.
that's true, right.
I think that'd be a good way to at least start the year. Get the first couple
Yeah.
months, and then if things change statewide or guidance, we'll have to look at it then, but it's probably a good way.
Same thing, Dana, just put until further notice.
Yep,
Yeah.
We're going with this.
I'll make that motion,
I'll second it.
keep the pin.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
and we're gonna use, with that, that's in the same, we're gonna use the whole liners with the tray.
Yeah.
That does speed up play, I have to say.
Mhm.
Yes.
Bunker rates, yes or no?
No rates. Same as last year.
No water, no rates.
No water, no rates. And then, of course, we did have sanitizer available at the food station as well as at the window. So at any point, you know what I mean, anybody wants to use it, they can come by and pick it up and use it. So if somebody finishes golfing, go in the bathroom, wash their hands, the sanitizer at the food station as well, so. As far as those specs were in order, tank capacity went over. I've got, the leagues have signed up. We got Wicked Sticks back and Titleist on Wednesday, which for last season, when they only had 8 to 12 players. I've heard rumor that they've gone to Allendale. We haven't heard from them, stating that they were coming back as of yet. And it has a new league admin that's taking them over to Allendale. And
Wicked Sticks has more players, correct?
Wicked Sticks does have a few more players.
How many leagues, Dana, total?
We have them every night. We have Monday night with the Rivers End. They're in the mid-70s this year. It's the biggest league we have. Tuesday night is Rivers End. Wednesday night, Rivers End and Titleist was on Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be Wicked Sticks. And Thursday night I have Albarox and Law and Order. And I have a new Titleist Finance Department League of 8 to 12 people. So I'm kind of finding them a spot.
Yeah.
And then Friday we have the Kenny Carew League.
Oh, he's still on Friday?
Yep.
Okay. What time do they go off?
All the leagues across the board start at 4 o'clock. And Monday's league has to go a little bit earlier because they have so many guys that won't finish before
So
sunset.
the Monday league will go off at what, 3:30?
3:30.
Okay.
And if it keeps growing, we'll back it up to 3 o'clock and then 2:30. However big he grows it, that'll determine when we start that league.
All right.
We will be reinstituting the bag boys and pro shop staff as we were required not to last year with the governor and social distancing and business closures and whatnot. So that'll be back in effect. And we have discussed
You skipped over outings.
hours. So I am,
Back, excuse me, back in December, at our meeting, we agreed not to have any
right,
outings during the first 6 months till we got a lay of the land, see how things were going. But now as vaccinations
Yeah.
are coming and
well, and the guidelines changed too.
right, and we do have some loyal outing customers that we'd like to accommodate, and you've been in communication with the outing groups.
Yes,
And what is your recommendation? What should we consider
I would consider
through this June?
hosting the events as we did last season, mandating that their masks be worn and depending on what the governor says with regards to outdoor dining, follow those guidelines. If he says go, I say we give it a shot and we use those containers that I was speaking of and see where we're at. If we're not comfortable with that, we can limit the dining aspect of it and have them either eat elsewhere, A. B, only serve groups of a certain size that we're comfortable with, or C, offer just the meal ticket, grab and go, dining style. So that way they don't have to leave, you keep them on the premise, they eat while they're playing, so the outings still can have their fundraiser. They collect their money to have their participants, and they give them a meal option on the facility grounds. I do also recommend continuing what we did last season, because even though it says allowance of groups of 150, not to allow the whole sitting under the tent, doing the auctions for their goods, the raffle prize collections. We've evolved last season in this pandemic to email the people, have them draw numbers while they're on the course, on the par threes, and do Chinese, whatever they do, the Chinese auction, and have them assess who the winners are via email and hand out their own prizes after the fact, rather than sitting and hanging out under the tent. That's what we want to try to avoid, I would think, to start the season until we get further on down the line and see if these vaccinations are successful and move forward through this. That's what I would recommend.
How many outings have been in contact with you?
Well, the first one I spoke with this spring was immediately, because we were trying to set up the junior, the high school golf schedule. And at that point, we were still not doing outings, so I told them right out, listen, we're not doing outings in the spring. Since then, I told them, listen, if you want to get in, we're going to honor those that have been loyal to us and give them an opportunity to do their fundraisers. So if you do want in, let's discuss what dates might work for you and see where we can fit you in, because we'll get you in. And I have received interest and discussions with several smaller groups, which those are just like regular T-sheet events of 24 or 30 people. We have a 1 p.m. 60 person at May 22nd. We have St. Michael's on the 30th of May, full shotgun. Now into June, Steve Cabral, 1 o'clock shotgun on June 5th. The Top Shelf event, there's always been a full shotgun. Acushnet Police, June 21st, full shotgun. Team Noah, the 28th, June 28th, full shotgun. And those groups have been with us for about, if not a decade of business. It'd be a shame to send them to McCoy Brook or Allendale and lose them forever. But again, I've stated what our guidelines are. We'll follow wherever the pandemic goes. So whenever the state says what the protocol is, that's what we're going to follow. So don't feel as though that we're locking you in at a full shotgun. If they say things are starting to take off, we want to dial it back to no more than 80 people. If it's 80 people, that's what your event is, and pick your 80 and bring them down. But that's what I'm committing to. I'm not committing to giving everybody everything that they want, because that's what they want. That's
Out of those outings, how many ate out? I know that one goes down to,
well, the police didn't have one last year. The police chiefs didn't have theirs. They're postponing their spring one to possibly a fall one this year. St. Michael's,
they go to the club.
they didn't eat here. They did have their event. And The Old Colony didn't have theirs. Team Noah, no, I'm sorry, Team Noah had theirs. They wanted to eat, and we didn't allow them. But they couldn't eat anywhere. I was
They
like,
usually go to
Europa. Yeah.
So that one we don't have to worry about it. They have all their prizes set up down there. You know,
Right.
and,
Yep.
They just play, and then it's
Play and
all
leave.
we get them out.
In a majority of events last year, that's the way it went. They either played and left, or they played and got a meal ticket and left, but there was no congregating on the tent. One, I think it was Team Noah, they actually had a good system. They created an online auction or a raffle prize station under the tent, and as people were completing their event, they would come and turn in their card, check the TV screen to see if anybody had won, turn in their scorecard, and then take off. So it's a pretty creative way to run an event.
Now they're back this year.
Yes.
So the only months that we don't have is July and August, right?
I have some booked. I just didn't bring those sheets with me because we were concerned with the early spring. But yeah, we do have events for July and August. Those months usually though weren't. June was the big month, and then it tapers off July and August, and then it starts picking up last week of August through September. Everybody goes on vacation in the summer. They don't want to be. Nobody that's administering an event wants to deal with the headache for 30 days in the summer of worrying about that. Then they want to have their summer vacation, and then they'll pick it back up afterwards.
So we keep it the way it is with the options that you just suggested as far as food goes.
You try it.
In other words, they got three options.
Well, and what I can do too is maybe I have the Board of Health come down when we do one and we walk through it with him first. We bounce it off him, see what he thinks, and then he can come down and witness one and give some insight as to what he feels would be a better practice, or if our practice is fine, he says, all right, yeah, give it a shot, and we'll play it by ear and see how it goes. But
I think you should stay with the rules. If anything happens, they are notified right away anyway, so they'll be right. They'll come and see you quickly.
yeah,
So I kind of agree with that. We'll go with that three is the approaches to it.
I think that anything that you're capable of doing as far as food goes under a certain amount that you're comfortable with, you should be able to do. Through the club, whatever you like.
right.
Nothing over 100. I don't know if you're comfortable with that, or less.
Yeah, well, I mean,
In other words, if I was to go in and say, hey, can you do 85 for me?
right.
You would say,
Me, right now?
Yeah.
I would say, what, for a steak dinner? I could do it.
okay. But it's the same thing, it's in a,
It's going in a container,
Okay.
you're staying at your table,
yep,
you're not getting up. If somebody has to go get a drink, you gotta wear your mask, get up,
yeah.
go get beverages, come back, take your mask off. When it's time to eat, I just have to get some serving trays so that I can put 6 meals on that are already completed.
Right.
Bring them to each table and drop them off. Here's everything you need. Boom, next table.
I would
So,
stay, Dana, into the number where you're comfortable with until this all clears up. Would go too high.
right. Listen, it really would come down to the patience of the customer and understanding what it is we're taking on. And obviously, I am not a banquet facility. I am one grill and a couple guys, and we can and have serviced outings for 19 years, and we will continue to do so. If you have the patience just to sit at your table and enjoy your beverage and shoot the breeze with your buddies, we're going to get you your dinner on your table, and you're going to be eating in a little bit more time, but a little bit more comfortable than waiting in line standing up.
Right.
You know, I mean, John, you've been there, you've seen it, guys. We'll have
Oh, I know.
the long line, it's a chow line. Everybody stands in the chow line, gets their food. We eliminate the mash aspect of it, and we say instead, well, you guys just relax, have a seat.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We'll bring your meal to you,
One table at a time.
one table at a time. If you control it, I think it'll, you know, it should work out just fine.
You make more money serving beverages.
Probably.
I'm fine with that approach, you know, various options, and leaving the capacity of what you think you can fit under each option.
Mm-hmm.
No, really, you can't get off, what else you got on that? That's it.
That's the program we got. I mean, there isn't really much more we
They
can
want
do.
to come up with their own plan and say, no, this is it. This
Right.
is what you guys.
I mean, the other option obviously is you don't have to eat it. We've always offered that.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we're gonna do for our facility. If you want a spaghetti dinner, then this isn't your spot. By all means, you can go somewhere else and get a spaghetti dinner. Sorry. We do our best with the, you know, what we got.
I think we either vote or just kind of consensus that that's the way we're.
You can vote.
Motion to accommodate loyal outing customers.
I'll second that.
I mean, yeah, I think we understand the intent, so all in favor?
Yeah.
That way you just, on the record that we're, you know, on.
Right. If I run into any issues, I will obviously be sure to get back to you and say, you know, this is what we probably need to do. But
If you can discourage them to move them into the fall, that's one thing. But
right.
if you need to accommodate them, we'll do what we can to accommodate.
Right. Well, I think some of them too, depending on the age of the participants, have kind of made that decision themselves.
Yeah.
Some people like their annual date and their
All the
target,
time.
and that's what they want to stick. I've already had guys, hey, when is the police? Yeah, all right, I want the Monday after them. Okay, that's the routine,
So
so
it's the same.
I don't want to break their
same
routine.
date.
And you know we're aerating the green, so you can make sure.
10th, 11th in May, and then the other dates are listed on the other calendars. And I think we have an additional one, he's doing a deep time of the fairways at some point, that is also
That's
listed.
later in the, that's in
Right,
the fall.
but that is also a shutdown day. Correct? That's what it's listed as.
I believe so.
All right.
Yeah, but we moved one for October, right?
Yes, yes. The latter date, right, isn't September, that one kicked out to October.
We are going to dry jet, so it should heal pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But just so, like you alluded, just to avoid any claims of the unknowing of any of these groups, obviously if they book right around the state, they know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Been there, done that.
And then I think, lastly, we had kind of reviewed an idea of setting a policy of trying to come up with a solution to keep golf carts from going into the parking lot. And one of the ideas I discussed with Manny and Ed that Isaac and I were discussing was that in order to really clamp down and control that, we would need to put up gate access to the golf course at the around, as you came around the cul-de-sac to go into the parking lot, we would say this is the pro shop here, and then employee parking is that way, and then your big turnaround is here. We would have to put a gate that way, and then a small fence, decorative fence across the front of the pro shop to the current cot pen, and then where the current cot pen is, extend that gate a little bit, fencing a little bit further to the dumpster to disallow any cots from leaving the golf course to access the parking lot. And then we would put a sliding gate access down the runway on the side of the trailer, and then a sliding access which we would move the cot pen to where the employee parking currently is. And I walked it off, and we have enough square footage to fit the cots in that area. So we're in the idea stage of getting that drafted up on a plan and getting some price estimates as to what that might cost. And that'll disallow all of the beverage reloads that may occur, tailgating, and the likes of that stuff, as guys complete their rounds and sit in their golf carts in the parking lot until they're ready to leave. And so when I mean, it'd be like pretty much any golf course you go to where you can only get to the golf course through certain access. You come in, you get your cart in one spot, you drop it off in one spot, and then you walk to your car. So that's
Why don't you just put a little sign right on the dashboard of the car? Cots are not allowed in the parking
yeah.
lot.
With the history we've had over 19 years, I moved.
If you do it, you know.
Yeah. Well, we discussed this. We could try it, but these guys are just they're gonna do their own thing, and I'm gonna be chasing my tail all season. And I would say, don't implement it
How
until
somebody gets bought out of the course for.
till you shut it down.
They'll learn quick.
Hey, Dana, how about, you know, there's certain courses that have restricted areas and the carts shut off?
GPS, yes. We
Can you just get it for that?
no, you would
Or do you have to buy the
you
whole
would buy
GPS?
you would have to buy the GPS system, and then you would set up.
An electric car.
No, they're on gas.
They have them, yeah, they hook them up to the governors too, I think.
Yeah,
And
they're on
gas.
gas too. But yeah, because I think, believe me, I've gone to a few places and all the thing was shut off and I had to get out and push it.
Right.
It took backwards.
Yeah, you can't push it forwards, you only have access to
And then
push
it
reverse.
shows up in the clubhouse.
Mhm.
Okay.
But when we get the price estimate for the fencing, depending on what that is, then we can compare the pricing for GPS and the cots. And
But it
They got
doesn't look
determination.
like something we're gonna be able to implement this spring.
that probably won't be this season.
So maybe, sounds like we need to get everything in place, maybe work on next season.
Yeah. I'd be curious then to see if they have just that for out-of-bound cops. They might.
I would- yeah.
The bulk of the money, John, is all in the equipment and the GPS receivers themselves. I mean, programming the boundaries is
Right,
just the time
that's-
to map out the cost. But the
Yeah.
cost is all in the
Yeah.
equipment.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we had discussed landscaping and shutting down the parking lot and doing different things, but we generally came up with the best way to do it. Basically, is shut down access.
What to do is you get about 20 pit bulls, and as one guy leaves, you just say, get him.
So that, I mean, I think, what that'll end up doing, as we discussed with Ed May, it'll maximize the efficiency of the starter because the cops will be located right at the starting point, and it'll eliminate having to walk to the pen, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's gonna be picked up and dropped off in the same spot. They're not gonna go in the parking lot, they're gonna stay cleaner longer because they're not getting that dust until the guys ride through the mud in the fall. Then it is what it is, but, so, we'll see what happens when we get the plan set up and get a price estimate.
We skipped D.
About phone coverage.
Staffing and focus on.
Skipped D.
No, I stated that. I said last year we didn't have any shop or bag boys due to the COVID restrictions and manpower assigned by the governor, and we had minimal staff. So we basically ran with myself, Isaac, a starter, and a person on the grill. We had 4 guys, and that's how we ran the whole season. And then we had some overlaps when the second shift came in for the starter and ranger. And we ran into some hairy times with losing George, and one of our guys opted out, didn't want to work with COVID, so he didn't work the whole season. So we scrambled and gas and cars and get stuff. With the volume we had, record-setting year, we were pushing the line. So we do have one guy back, and I've been in talks with hiring another person, and if we can get that lined up, we'll be in some good shape.
Well, that was our purpose, putting this in here, was the fact that we wanna know what you're gonna do. We know what we did last year, and that was not efficient. I mean, you
Well,
guys worked your butt off and.
It was
everything
efficient.
else, but it was, you know, there was no coverage on that telephone. You call 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times together. I don't know. Somebody to answer. What I like to hear is, what's your plan? How many people you need to run that? So the committee can make a decision.
Yeah, well, I plan on having bag boys with overlapping shifts for outdoor service, helping out the guys, and that'll allow us to train them to gas carts, so they can gas the carts, we can stay focused on the outside service. And then I can utilize an additional person and cross-train them on the 3 aspects of the business, which is the grill, being a starter, and working in the pro shop. And I'm looking to have that person float through those 3 areas in order to meet whatever hours they would require. And then I'm going to utilize the college kids on the grill as I have in the past, and float them in their hours as to accommodate our schedule to have pro shop coverage, which I have had in the past, but we didn't have it last season, and having access to the grill. So we were under the crunch for a little bit last season because 2 of the kids went and one did an internship and the other one went back to college. So we were actually down 2 people as far as grill service, and coincidentally we had an Acushnet resident, a young man. He came in and he was looking for a job the same week that the second guy went back to school. So we had him hired within a week, had him trained within 3 days, and he had a great end of summer because he had a job and he was homeschooling because no classes weren't in session at universities. So he allowed to have a job and go to college at the same time. And he's a local kid, a good kid. So we crossed all the T's and dotted the I's.
Sounds good. We will cooperate, right?
I was just saying before you guys came in that tomorrow was a wash, but Saturday T-sheet is half full and Sunday is book solid. So that's going to give us a little flavor of what's to come. It looks like we're going to be in the same boat we were in when we closed, and that means good things.
New business next. Do we have any new business next? We need to address the email.
I just have one question. Did we hear anything from Old Colony about the drafting
Not yet, no,
of the parking lot?
not yet.
Are you following that with
Yes,
this?
I'm going to square that away this week.
There was an email about a potential roof repair that needs to be done. Do we need to do anything with that? Is this happening?
Roof repairs. The estimate from,
Roach?
The Roach. Yeah, he came by, I got him up on the roof. It was the day we talked. He actually called me back right after you guys left, and he came down the road, that day. So I got him on the roof, took a look at it, and I had him submit an estimate, and he said as soon as I get the approval, give him a call, he'll pop over and get it done. We're gonna find out if we have a serious problem this weekend because tonight it's raining. It hasn't rained yet since that happened. But I sent the picture out to everybody. I think I sent it to everybody, but in that last windstorm a couple weeks ago, it basically ripped the awning right off of the joist, and it was bouncing on the supports, and it's basically puncturing the awning every time it went up and down. That thing, we could only lift it using Steve's front loader, and the wind was putting that thing higher than the roof. I thought it was going to tear it right off. So when it landed, I grabbed it and I had some rope and I tied it to the deck. So that way it just secured it and it stopped it from jumping up and down. But it looks like Swiss cheese now. And tore off a bunch of roof shingles, so we gotta get the roof repaired and the awning replaced.
So the awning estimate was $3,850, and the roof repair is $1,575.
And that has been submitted to the town hall for insurance.
It should be insurance coverage.
I think, she said we have a 2,000 deductible, yes. Well, it's gotta be done, so.
No,
So we make a motion to go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, just like that.
All in favor?
So,
Yeah, we should get that taken care of.
yep,
Yeah, right.
no, it's, the estimates are there, so all I have to do is call up both places, say run it, and, the awning place said it'll take 5 weeks, and the roof guy said, he can get down as soon as we get the okay, so.
What was the roof estimate at?
15,
The roof is $1,575, and the awning replacement's $3,850.
Considering he doesn't find anything.
yeah, he went up and he says it looks pretty good, it just ripped it out of the roof, so he's gotta fill the holes,
Yeah.
reconnect it, and then he's gonna patch around it and get the shingles up to cover it. But we've had a lot of windstorms since I've been there, and I've never,
Yeah, really.
that was something else.
Ooh, the
Look
recycling.
over there, please. You can see any time. Now,
No kidding.
see how many halves are gone?
The what?
All of the shingles that are in.
Oh, yeah.
That was-
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw some on the front here. Yeah.
And I replaced that one with on here because it all open up. So we're gonna end up going with new shingles. Roof.
Anything else, Ed, we need to bring up today?
Nope.
You wanna schedule a next meeting at some point?
I think so.
Like in April, after we've been over for a little bit and see?
Maybe at the next meeting, we can have Steve to talk about some of his projects.
Well, because if we can get the course opening and then project from his
Right.
perspective at the next meeting.
We
So,
still have from the town meeting articles, we have about 48,000 has yet to be submitted and approved by the board of selectmen. So we have exactly 44,600 left. So he has a list of projects that's a little bit higher than 46,000. We'll put that on the next agenda.
so Thursdays, we're keeping with that, we've got 8, 15, and 22, 29.
22, I'm not around.
The
29 too.
Either 15 or 29 then.
Either one.
Should we to the end of the month, 29?
Yeah, I'm all right with 29. I'll have to double check where it should be.
It was gonna be what, April 29th?
Yeah, April 29th.
Here?
4 PM here?
Okay, sure. If that's that, we're ready to adjourn. Get a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.